guys, it's Cash, and we're about a month away from the Dragonflight release, so today I want to cover the talent selection for Holy Priest during the pre-patch. This is going to be different from the talents we select when we're level 70 in Dragonflight, as we have 10 less points to spend. But I'm going to talk through the selection process and how the new talents affect our gameplay. So firstly, if you want to copy the template too, I will put a link in the description to load it directly into your talent tree. To do this, you simply copy the import string, open your talent tree, and in the bottom left-hand corner, select import. Paste the string into the box, give it a name, and click import. So this is what the build looks like. You may notice that Divine Hymn and Circle of Healing have not been selected, but I promise this is okay. What I'm going to do in a sec is clear the tree and build it from scratch with you, so we can talk through each option and we can better understand the build. But first, I want to talk about Lightweaver a little bit. Lightweaver works similarly to our Flash Concentration Legendary in that it boosts our heal, although instead of being forced to maintain 5 full stacks of Flash heal to get a supercharged heal, every Flash heal we cast, we get the Lightweaver buff, and the next immediate heal will be faster and bigger. This means there is less pressure to cast unnecessary Flash heals to maintain stacks, lest we have to build up the whole 5 stacks again. Now the ability says it stacks twice, and I took that to mean that it would double the effects, but you'll see here that the buff holds 2 charges, meaning that you can cast 2 Flash heals and then the following 2 heals will be buffed. Now obviously during the pre-patch, we still have our Flash Concentration Legendary, so using these in combination with each other makes for some very fast, very powerful heals, which is why I don't think you'll miss the AoE healing from Circle of Healing and Divine Hymn as much as you think. Let me show you. So you'll see here that when I cast Flash Heal, we get the normal Flash Concentration buff, which increases the healing of heal by 3%, and then right next to it you get the Lightweaver buff, which reduces the cast time of heal by 30%, and its healing is increased by 15%. When I cast Flash Heal again, you'll notice that both of them stack, although the Flash Concentration buff has now doubled the increased healing to 6%, while the Lightweaver buff still remains at cast time reduced by 30% and healing increased by 15%. But that's not the cool part. The cool part is that we build up our Flash Concentration stacks. Now I'm at 5 stacks. Up here, I have 2 stacks of Lightweaver. It doesn't go beyond 2 stacks, but look at the cast time down here of my heal. 0.7 seconds. Now, without the Lightweaver stacks, which I've just cleared them here, Flash Heal costs in 1.1 seconds, which is totally what we are used to. But there is a 0.4 reduction when you stack Flash Concentration and Lightweaver together. So as long as you're keeping up your stacks, I don't think you're going to miss the AoE healing. But moving forward, we obviously won't have that Flash Concentration ability, and I think it's just going to improve the playstyle generally. So now let's build the talent tree from the ground up. No, from the top down, I guess. Anyway, let's build it together and talk through the talent selection and how this will change your playstyle. Now we're going to start by taking Shadow Fiend, and I've already mentioned that I haven't been utilizing this as much as I should have, but even if I don't need the mana, it does do damage. What I'm really trying to get to though is Shadow Word Death, and then Death and Madness, which resets the cooldown of Shadow Word Death. I've also been toying with the idea of the Tith Invasion talent, so I don't axe myself quite so hard in the execute phase, especially on tyrannical weeks, but let's circle back to that. First up, we're going to take our Purge and then improve Flash Heal, keeping in mind that we want to boost our single target healing as much as possible. I don't know about you, but Feather is a must-have for me, so let's grab that, and then we're given the option between a stacking buff for Flash Heal or straight up 10% damage reduction when we cast Flash Heal on ourselves. Given how weak we are defensively, I think this one is a no-brainer, and we take Protective Light. Now we've got 1 point left to spend up here, and we want to work our way down to PI and Mass Dispel. If you're a priest that is underutilizing Mass Dispel, DM me and let's talk about that. But we're actually going to drop 2 points into Holy Nova first, and then we're going to take Rhapsody. I was skeptical at first, but I am actually loving this as a replacement for Circle of Healing. Firstly, look at that difference in mana cost, and the baseline healing is actually better with Holy Nova. Granted, the range is way less, but it works well for a 5-man environment. Not to mention it does damage. Now, Rhapsody is a cool little stacking buff, meaning that the more you forget to use Holy Nova, the stronger it is when you remember that it's part of your toolkit. So let's have a quick look here at what 20 stacks does versus 0. So here I am, and I already have the 20 stacks of Rhapsody, which is going to increase the damage of my Holy Nova by 200% and the healing by 400%. I've got my little log down here, so let's go ahead and hit that. Oh. And you can see here that Holy Nova does 4.5k damage, and then just over 6k healing. With 0 stacks of Rhapsody, it doesn't do nearly as much, but it still does a decent amount considering. Okay, so from here we take Master Spell, and then we branch off into Inspiration, which reduces physical damage taken by your target by 5% when you crit. This works really nicely with Crisis Management over in the Spectre. Next, we dump 2 points into Unwavering Will to further decrease the cast time of Flash Heal, Heal, and Smite for some reason. Now let's stop there a second because we need to get to PI. Your options are between Shackle Undead or Leap of Faith, so this selection may be dependent on the content you're doing, but I'm going to take Leap of Faith for now because it's fun and I can now get Power Infusion. Now, when I recorded this, I actually had planned to path down into the Fade damage reduction talent, but I realized that with our Conduit still active, the translucent image buff doesn't stack with the Fade talent, and the Conduit actually gives us 13% DR, so it was essentially a wasted point. I have also since tested Twins of the Sun Priestess, and while initially it was very exciting, it's actually not very useful as I would always align it to someone else's cooldowns, and with the amount of instant cast damage spells and super fast heals, it felt out of tune with the playstyle. And so now a day later, I have a cold, and I've decided I want to angle down to Throes of Pain for the passive damage increase to Shadow Word Death. But I have to go through Void Shield to get there, and I actually don't use Shield very much. So this actually gave me something to think about. But I really don't like any of the other options, and Power Word Shield did receive a decent buff to the damage absorb, so I'm going to put a point in there so I can reach Throes of Pain. Now we have 2 more points to spend to unlock the bottom tier, and I'm going to put these into Twist of Fate, which gives you a 10% damage and healing buff after you damage or heal a target below 35% health. This pairs nicely with Power Word Life, which should be used on players below 35% health, and Shadow Word Death, which should be used on enemies below 20% health. It's also just a nice little buff when you're in the execute phase. And seeing as we only need 5 points on the left-hand side of the tree, that leaves us with 1 flexi point. On bursting weeks, I would definitely spec into Improved Master Spell. Spell Warding is also a good choice if you're feeling a little squishy, think Medivh or Curator on Tyrannical. And My Games has become a popular choice in the high keys, though for me personally, I don't think I need another damage button to press. With this build, Holy Fire does so much damage and comes off cooldown so fast, I don't feel I need anything else. Plus I'm running out of keybinds, my hands are tiny. So I'm going to try out Tith Evasion and see if it saves my life. And finally, our last 6 points. We're going to take Binding Heal, which is just straight up better than Angel's Mercy while we're pumping out so much single target healing. Take Surge of Light for those free procs, and then finally, Power Word Life. Over here, we want Divine Star instead of the Cursed Halo for Mythic Plus, and then...
But wait! There's more!
Looking at the spec tree now, we're going to take everything in the first 3 rows, starting with Serenity. We then have to take Prayer of Healing, which isn't even on my bars, to get to Sanctify. And as I mentioned earlier, that's where this branch ends. We don't take Circle of Healing or any of the Prayer of Mending modifiers at this time. We're obviously going to take Guardian Spirit because it is amazing, and then Guardian Angel for that massive cooldown reduction. I get very cross when someone procs the cheat death and it goes on a 3-minute cooldown. Chastise is then going to lead us down the path towards amping up our Holy Fire damage with Burning Vehemence. Burning Vehemence, and Imperial Blaze, which gives us 3 mana-free instant cast Holy Fires with a stacking dot. Trust me when I say it's really fun. Although do remember to always cast Holy Fire before you pop Imperial Blaze, as this resets the cooldown. And that brings us into the next tier of talents. We want to start making our way down towards Crisis Management and Prismatic Echoes, but without going over into the AoE modifiers. We definitely want to go through Trail of Light, which is just free healing, and will be insanely good with all the buffs we're giving our single target heals. So let's start with Cosmic Ripple for a little free healing and a cute little animation, and then pop 2 points into Trail of Light. which I don't hate actually. I think it is just too strong of a talent to be a single point spend, so 2 points makes sense. And then down into Everlasting Light, which is just another buff to heal, so we can drop 2 more points into Crisis Management, which increases the crit chance of flash heal and heal by 15%. And then finally, 2 points into Prismatic Echoes, which gives us a huge mastery buff. This will be reflected in our passive Hot Echo of Light. Usually in Mythic Plus, we're not aiming for mastery, but since it's right there and it's just a straight up 12% buff, why not? Our final 4 points on this tier are pretty straightforward. Literally, they're straight down. We're going to take Censure for the stun, which is just great utility for Mythic Plus. Renewed Faith, which is If you use a lot of renews, this is going to be great. I personally don't remember to put them on very often, but there it is. We go through to Enlightenment, which gives us even more mana. And then Symbol of Hope, which is a great way to bring defenses back after a rough battle. And then also more mana. And now we're at the bottom of the tree, where we can pick up Apotheosis, which is our main cooldown. I mean, I guess it's our only cooldown now, and we want to use this when we are anticipating huge spikes of damage. We take Pontifex, which again pairs well with Crisis Management, as our critical hits increase the healing done with Serenity or Sanctify by 10%, or if you have 2 stacks, 20%. And now these next 2 points are the only 2 that I would consider flexible in the spec tree. We can either take Resonant Words, which is currently a conduit we use to increase the healing of our next flash heal or heal by 25%. 25% after casting a Holy Word spell, which would be Serenity and Sanctify, although a lot of people forget Chastise. Chastise is a Holy Word and can be weaved? Woven? Chastise is a Holy Word and can be used in your rotation to boost your heals. The other option requires much less brain power and is just a straight up 10% increased healing on targets below 50%. If all these changes are too much, or you feel like you struggle to pick people up after they take too much damage, Desperate Times is a totally viable option. It just provides a nice passive buff in certain situations. Resonant Words is great, but it does require more thinking and it will impact your playstyle. For now, I'm just going to take this one so I can think a little less and we'll see how I feel. And finally, we reach the backbone of the entire build. This was all for you, Lightweaver. I already touched on how this passive ability works earlier in the video, but it essentially allows you to alternate between flash heal and heal more freely, while still maintaining a big buff to heal and reducing its cast time. So that is it for the talent trees for level 60s during the pre-patch. I'm having a great time wrapping my head around the new build, and once I do a few more keys, I'll release another video outlining some gameplay, and maybe even reassessing some of these talents. Who knows? If you take anything away from this video, just a few pieces of advice. Press Imperial Blaze on cooldown for that huge damage increase with Holy Fire and its dot. Use Holy Nova. Words I thought I would never say. Don't forget all about your Shadow Word Death, especially on targets below 20%. And of course, enjoy the combination of Flash Concentration and Lightweaver while we've got it. It should be easier than ever to maintain those flash stacks now that you can weave Flash Heal into your rotation to give yourself the Lightweaver buff. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Did I record any of that?